Okay, let's look at the next example over here, right? Now, this question, it looks very similar to this, but this time we are dealing with fraction, all right? So how do we want to solve this, without an aid of a calculator, all right? So before we do this, all right, before we understand like what does this whole thing mean, let's jump back to basic, all right? So let's just say if I have a fraction, let's choose a simple number, 2 over 3 and a bracket, and I just square it, okay? Now basically what does this mean, all right? Basically what does this mean? It's 2 over 3, I multiply by itself, right? And that will give me 4 over 9, correct or not? Okay, so over here, like before I multiply this to become 4 over 9, I can also simplify something over here. What do I get? Look at the numerator. The numerator, since I'm multiplying by itself, I can rewrite this as 2 square, right? And the denominator, I am multiplying by itself. That's gonna be, that's gonna be 3 square, and that's where I get my 4 over 9, right? So in another word, if I have a fraction over here and outside there's a power, what does this tells you? It's both the numerator and the denominator, you have to raise it to this power over here, all right? Hence, that's why we can rewrite this as like this. Since this is true for this question, this must be true for this type of question as well, right? So when I write like this, so basically what does it mean, right? In this case, like over here, we can rewrite this into this. I should be able to rewrite this into this. Right? Make sense? Okay? And then look at the numerator and denominator. Now, we have already understand what does this mean, right? We have already established and understand over here. Okay? So let's just apply the formula now, all right? And see what happened. Okay? So we solve this. So basically the top one is going to be square root. All right? It will be the square root of 64 over the square root of 81, okay? And when you solve this, okay, let me change it to blue so you can see the difference better. Okay, so you can rewrite this as like this, and you will get your answer 64, a square root of 64, that will give you 8, and this will give you 9. Done. Okay? Alright, so that's basically what it means. So the second question also, same thing. All right, I have my numerator and denominator, and I have a bracket, and I raise it to this power. So what does it mean? It means my numerator and denominator, all right, I have to cube root it, okay? I have to cube root it, right? So you know that 27 over 125, okay, I will raise it to the power of this. Okay, and then I can rewrite something like this. But okay, I show you like this is just for you to understand that you have to square root the numerator and denominator. But shortcut, all right, you can also write it as like this. Okay, like in this case, I'm not going to write in this one. I'm going to write in this form now. I'm going to cube root. You see, it's a big cube root. So what's inside here? That's going to be 27 over 125. Okay. So bear in mind, can you see how big is my cube root? When you do it like this, the big one, all right, it covers the whole fraction. So it will able to tell your examiner that you are actually cube rooting the top and bottom number. Now, you cannot write as like that. Like, I give you an example. You cannot write as like that. Okay, this will mean different. This means that you only cube root the numerator and the denominator, you are not doing anything. Okay, so if you write like this, that's going to be wrong already, yeah? So please be careful. Please make sure that your root extend all the way downwards. Then let's solve this. Cube root of 27, I should get 3. And cube root of 125, I should get 5, if I'm not mistaken. But let me quickly just check that. Okay, that's correct. Okay. Now, in the same time, all right, let's look at the next one over here. Same thing, same thing. But I'm gonna do something different with this, okay? I want to able to see what's the difference, huh? Now, what if for this question, instead of putting a bracket, I remove the bracket now, you know? And this 1 over 3, it's only for this number. It's only for here. Will this have the same meaning as this? In this case, it's going to be no, right? I have a bracket. It means this whole thing inside this bracket is being raised to the power of 1 over 3. But in this case, there's no bracket now, which means only the numerator has been raised to 1 over 3. The denominator, nothing is happening with it. Okay? Make sure you know the difference. Huh? So in this case, right, you are going to write it as the cube root of 5, 1, 2 over 3, 4, 3. Now this time is going to be a short cube root because you're only cube rooting the numerator. Be careful, okay? Alright, so make sure you know the difference between question that looks like this and or look like this, okay? Now let's solve this. Cube root of 512, that's going to give me 8 and 3, 4, 3. Okay, so that's my final answer. Can't be simplified anymore. Alright, so that's basically it. Now the next one over here, now this one again, very similar to this, okay? I have negative 1 over 7 now, like a fraction, I power of this. Now what should I do over here? No? What should I do over here? It's going to be very similar to what I've done on top, alright? So let's resolve this power one by one. Okay, the first thing we want to is to eliminate this fraction first, okay? So we know what to do with it already because we already established a rule over here. So in order to eliminate this negative, we can rewrite this as a fraction. So what do I get over here, okay? So if I rewrite this as a fraction, I should get 1 over this thing over here, right? So that's going to be this bracket 2187 over 128 close bracket. And I raise this to the power of 1 over 7. That's how we're going to write it. Okay, what have I done so far? I'm just applying this rule over here. Okay, and then the rest is the same as what you have done on top. Okay, so I'm going to write it in this way because this is faster for me. So I'm going to write this as 1 over, okay, so we know that the numerator and denominator, we have to raise it to the power 1 over 7. So that tells me that's the 7th root. Okay, that's the 7th root of 2187 over 128. Okay, now let's use your calculator to solve what is this. I'm going to do that very quickly. Okay, 7th root, we can just use this again. 7th root of 2187. So that will give me 1 over 3 over, let me do this, 3 over 2. Okay, put a bracket there first. Okay, so when you simplify this, you should get something like this. Now, what should I do next? You can't just leave this as your final answer over here, alright? We should do something with this. We can simplify this more. But what should we do over here? This might look something that is not common, not familiar to you already. But let's try to jump back to basic and let's understand what is this. Now when we write the word, this line over here, this fraction line over here, it always tells us that's a division operation, right? So let's use this understanding and to work out what does this mean. So this is basically 1, okay? And I'm dividing by 3 over 2. okay, we have already learned this, all right, in fraction. Whenever we are dividing a fraction, we can always rewrite this as 1 multiply the reciprocal, all right? You can just flip it, okay, because it's the same thing, it's the same meaning. Okay, I will flip it like this, all right? When you flip it, remember to change the sign to multiplication and just multiply it and you should get 2 over 3 here, all right? So let me just erase this and write this down. And you will rewrite this as 2 over 3. Okay? Done. We have already simplified your fraction over here. Now, a quick shortcut for you. Whenever you see a question that looks like this, all right, a question that looks like this, what you're going to do is, very easy, just take this denominator and just move it on top. All right? That's how you get 2 over 3. That's a shortcut. All right? But why is it like that? That's the proof over here. Okay? So I have 2 more examples for you. All right, let's just solve it. Okay, I hope by now you're able to see what's the pattern and you can solve this accordingly. So again, negative, we don't like that. We hate it. We want to change it to a fraction. Why? Because it will remove the negative sign. Okay, so let's do that first. That's going to be 1 over, follow the whole thing, bracket, 16 over 81, close bracket, 1 over 4. And that tells me it's 1 over the 4th root of 16 over 81. Okay, which I have to root, 4th root the whole thing over here. So what I will get here, it's 1 over, oops, sorry, wrong color. It's gonna be 1 over 2 over 3. Close bracket. So same thing, when you see this fraction over here, all right, shortcut for you, just look at the denominator, just bring it upwards, all right? So that's gonna be your final answer. It's gonna be 3 over 2. Done, okay? Now let's take a look at this question over here. Now same thing, this question, all right? I will change this question a bit like what I did over here. I'm gonna erase this bracket over now, okay? Because I need you to be able to see the difference over here with bracket and without bracket. So I'm gonna change this question a bit to 49 power of negative 1 over 2 now. All right, over 25. Now what this means is going to be similar to this. What am I doing is I'm only doing here. I'm only solving this top part only with these negative indexes. The bottom part I'm not doing anything at all. So when I solve this, again, do part by part, numerator first. Again, I don't like my negative. I'm going to change that to a fraction. So I'm going to get 1 over 49, and that I will raise to the power of 1 over 2. That's for my numerator only. And this is going to over 25. Okay? So what's going to do next? Solve one by one. All right, let's solve the numerator first. Okay, what do I get over there? Okay, so I'm going to get 1 over root 7 over 25. Okay, this whole thing is my numerator over here. Oh, sorry, root 7, root 49, sorry. That will give me 1 over 7 over 25. Okay, now again, this form looks like this already, right? So what does this mean over here, right? What does this mean over here? So again, if we take a look at this, all right, again, this is basically 1 over 7. The fraction sign over here means divide by 25, right? We can always rewrite this as 1 over 7. I change this to multiplication, and I have to flip this 25 upside down. That's going to give me 1 over 25 now. Okay, right? So what do I get over here? 1 over 25 times 7. I'm going to get 175. Okay, so that's my final answer over here. Okay, so all right, okay, so these are the list of examples I'll show you. All right, the next example I'm going to show the next video, it's what if I have, right? If you take a notice of all these examples, the numerator are all ones. But what if I don't have 1 anymore? I have power of 2, the numerator is going to be 2, 3, 4, and so on. What's going to happen now? Okay, I'm going to show you that in the next video, okay?